Good week, folks. New week, new Parsha. Parsha's Pinchus. A continuation from yesterday, where Pinchus.
Sure. Yeah, took some action. Yeah. Decisive action.
Oh.
He's a strong guy,
Okay.
I don't think he held on.
All right, let's get into it. V'yidaber Hashem al Moshe Lemor, and Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, Pinchus ben Elazar, Pinchus the son of Elazar, ben Aaron the son of Aaron. He's a grandson of Aaron. He's a grandson of Aaron.
Great nephew of Moshe.
A great nephew of Moshe, exactly. He was, in other words, Moshe was a great uncle. He was really great.
Great holy uncle.
Yeah, and so he was not a kohen, by the way, until today. He wasn't a kohen because the kohanim were appointed from the Levites that were the descendants of Aaron. He was underaged, right? So he didn't get it was Aaron and his sons, but not Pinchus.
So he was a kid when he did the spearing.
No. This is 40 years. He became kohen 40 years earlier, right?
Yeah.
40 years earlier.
So yeah, this is going back now.
It's not going back. This is in the 40th year. When Aaron became a kohen was 40 years prior to this story.
Yes.
Pinchus did not become a kohen then.
Yeah.
It was only Aaron and his sons.
Yeah.
Right? That's it. Right? So what's going to happen today? Let's see. I'm just giving you some background. That's all.
So
okay?
This is happening after the events of the last Parsha.
Which is in the 40th year. Okay?
This is after.
Are we not after, in the 40th year.
Yeah, okay, so it's right after.
It's right after last week. It's absolutely, it's right after last week, but it's in the 40th year.
And he's not a Kohen yet.
And he's not a kohen yet,
Okay.
Exactly. That's the background, okay? So he's the grandson of Aaron, a kohen. Hey, Shivitz Chamasi. So Hashem is saying to Moshe that he returned my anger, Mi'al b'nei Israel, upon the children of Israel, right? Bikone is kinasi, and that he was jealous or zealous, whatever you want to term you want to use, for my jealousy, amongst them. But like Kalisi has been Israel b'kinasi, and I did not destroy the children of Israel because of my zeal, because of my jealousy, whatever term, however you want to translate that. Okay, welcome, folks. I just went over something and that I just opened it up. Like too crazy.
Every day I hear the word, the exception of Shabbos.
I guess you're welcome, huh? Okay. Is it there, share? Do you see the Chumash in front of you now?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Just moved?
Yes.
Okay, let's go to Rashi. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron a kohen. Pinchas the son of Elazar ben the son of Aaron a kohen. Rashi in verse number 11. Lefi shohayu ashvatim and say. So we already know who Pinchas is. Yeah. Why is the Torah telling us this? We know who he is. Well, Rashi is going to tell us. No, don't try to figure it out. But good. I see. Yes, you were. I saw your mind. I know where your mind was going. Because the tribes were humiliating him, saying, remember, he already killed Zimri and Cosby, right? So now the tribes were making fun of him. What were they saying? They were humiliating him. Did you see the son of Puti? Son of Puti, Putiel, one of the names of Yisrael, right? Because from his mother's side, that was his grandfather too. Okay?
Yeah, so he's related to Zimri. Pretty holy.
No. No. He's related to Yisrael.
Yeah.
Shepitim avi imai agalim lavei dezora, because his mother's father, right? So his mother was a daughter of Yisrael, right? He fattened the calves for idolatry, and what would he do? He would fatten the calves for idolatry, right? There'd be fatter calves, to slaughter for the idolatry. And yet he killed the prince of the tribe of Israel. The Pikach Baal Kosov, therefore the Torah comes and tells the that his ancestry is after Arain. In other words, to teach us that he didn't kill him because he didn't kill him because he had a zealous bone in his body. He had a peaceful bone in his body because he was like Aaron, his grandfather, not the other grandfather, who was, fatten the calves, to have fatter calves for the slaughter, right? Which is not a compassionate, right? So he's not, right? That's what they were saying. He's not a compassionate guy. No. So God says, no. He is the son of Aaron. Aaron was compassionate, and so he was. In other words, he didn't do this. He did it for my sake.
Yeah.
He didn't do it for his zealous nature. He was zealous avenging my vengeance. That he avenged that which had to be avenged for me, because by expressing rage, because I should have been enraged. Any form of kina in the Torah, who hamischare is someone who's settling a score. Jealousy, right? To avenge a matter, right? In an old French, promo. Okay. 12. Got it?
Yeah.
Or therefore say, behold, I am giving to him as Brisi Shalom, I'm giving him my covenant of peace. He brought peace. He killed. Okay. That's how you bring peace sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? How did he bring peace? Because he stopped God's vengeance, and therefore the plague stopped. Right? As Brisi Shalom, Lebris Shalom, that there should be for him a covenant of peace. Like a person who's attributed of goodness and graciousness, who feels thankful. For someone who did him a favor. Afkan, here too, Hashem declared of his feelings of friendship towards him. In other words, he created a peace. Right? Again, God's anger was doused because he killed the two of them, even though it was an act of seems brutality, and that's what the tribes were saying, right? They were making fun of him. Yeah. Your grandfather, he used to fatten the calves. He used to be a negative guy, right? Yeah. And he used to, so in other words, it's in your nature to be this way. God's saying no. That's not what we're learning. I know, but let's learn what we're learning. No, first of all, actually, he didn't warn them, right? No, not in that act. Okay, 13. And it will be for him, and for his seed after him, the covenant of Kohuna, being a kohen forever. In the stead of, because of he was jealous or zealous for his God, and he brought atonement for the children of Israel.
So now being a Cohen is based on your heritage.
Yeah, I mean, it's based on what he did, and for his descendants will be based now. It's based on this. Yeah. 13, and it shall be for him, bris zois, this covenant of mine will be for him, bris kunas olam, a covenant of the eternal priesthood, she'afalpi, that even though shekvar nitna kuna, even the priesthood was already been given, the zar shall Aaron to the offspring of Aaron, v'loy nitna el Aaron, it was only given but to Aaron, ulaban of nishim nimshachol imay, for and his sons who were anointed with him, right? And for any progeny that would beget after their anointing of Pinchus, but Pinchus who was born before then, right? In other words, he was born before the time that they were anointed, but he wasn't anointed. He was not part of the priesthood. He wasn't part of the priesthood, right? He was born, but it wasn't given to him. It was given only to Aaron and his sons, not his grandchildren. Right?
Yeah.
And any of their progeny. So he was excluded.
Yeah, because he was like grandfathered out.
Right. Instead of grandfathered in, he was grandfathered out. Good one. Yeah, grandfathered out. Exactly. So he did he did not come into the class of priesthood. Adkan until this point. Okay, right? Except now God made him one. Right? And likewise, we learn in Zvachim is Kain. Pinchas did not become a Kain until he killed Zimri. So Le'alaikav says that he was jealous or zealous for his God. So Rashi says, what does that mean? Bishvil Le'alaikav, for the sake of God. Mikana Atali, like the phrase that says, are you being zealous for me? Bishvili, for my sake. As I've been zealous for Zion, Zion, for the sake of Zion, meaning for the Jewish people. Others, it's for his sake, for God's sake, in other words.
For the Jewish people's sake.
Not for, or his own sake.
Yeah.
In other words, zealous because that was his nature.
Yeah.
He was doing it for the sake of God.
Yeah.
Right. 14. Hashem Ish Yisrael. So if you remember last week, right? Or yesterday, better. What was the head of the tribe of Shimon called?
What was his name?
Well, how do we refer to him yesterday? Ish mibnei Israel. Ish echa mibnei Israel. One man from the children of Israel. We didn't give a name to him. Didn't give a name, except for now. Shem Ish Israel, in the name of the man of Israel, Hamuka, that was killed, Asher Huka, is a Midianis, and that was slain together with the Midianites. What's his name? Zimri ben Salu. Zimri, the son of Salu. Nasi, Besav, he was the leader, the chieftain of the house, the father's, the paternal house, the Shimoni, for Shimon.
So
for the tribe of
yesterday he
Shimon.
wasn't referred to in the Parsha explicitly as Zimri,
Exactly.
but Rashi called him Zimri at some point.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
because we know this from here, right? But but he was not named. This is the first time he's named. Let's see Rashi. Shem Ish Israel, the name of the slain Israelite man, B'malkim Shiachas is a tzaddik l'sheba, in the place where we trace the ancestry of the righteous with praise. Yachas v'rosh l'ganai, we give the ancestry of the evil one in a disparaging manner. Right? In other words, he was evil. So that's why so Rashi is saying, you bring out the goodness of somebody that's righteous. On the opposite side, you bring out the negativity of the evil person.
So he wasn't named the first time because that would bring out his negativity.
Right. Yeah.
So it's kind of delayed, that's why.
See the base of Shimoni. He was the prince of the father's house of the Shimonites. He was one of the five houses of fathers. Shem l'sheva Shimon, that were to the tribe of Shimon. He was the leader of only one of the families, not the entire tribe. He wasn't the head of the entire tribe. He was the head of only one of the 5 families of Shimon. That's what Rashi says, right? Now he says, alternatively, Zimri's ancestry is mentioned here after the preceding verse spoke about Pinchus and his vengeance that he took for God. This is to tell us not about his negativity, right? But to tell us about the virtue of the praiseworthiness of Pinchas. That even though this was a prince, a leader, Pinchas didn't restrain himself from avenging the desecration of God's name. Therefore, the Torah tells us here, who is the one who is slain. So according to this explanation, it's different. The reason why it wasn't said earlier and only said now is to tell us his greatness, that even though he was a leader, usually people are saying, well, he's a leader, so he must know what he's doing, or he must, don't start with a leader. Since he was profaning God's name in a public display of intimacy, right? Therefore, and he didn't hold himself back from doing what was the right thing. He did it. So God is praising him here. Because yesterday was only about what he did. Today is about the praise that he gets for it and for the appointment that he gets as a result, the covenant of peace that he's getting, the kahuna, right? So here would be the right place to say his name.
Was the motive addressed yesterday directly, or did it just say, oh, he's speared them?
Well, if you recall, Moshe didn't know the halacha, right? And he came to Moshe and said, isn't this what the halacha is? He says, well, whoever reads the letter is the one who has to fulfill what the letter says, right? So then he went and did it. But it's only clear from Moshe, allowing what happened, right? Yeah. But it's not clear that we don't have a clarity yet until now that this is the right thing, right? I mean, we have clarity because God's saying now it's the right thing, and not only saying it's the right thing, but it's giving him an appointment. So, now we have true clarity. Okay? That clear? Okay. 15, yeah. 15. The Shem Aisha, and the name of the woman, Hamuka, that was slain, Hamijanis, the Midianite, Cosby the Bastur, the daughter of Tzur, Reish Umais, the head of a head leader of the nation, base of the paternal house, B'Midjan, who in Midjan, Rashi, Shema Isha Muke, right? Now, the name of the woman that was slain, why is this being said over here? To the extent of the hatred the Midianite had towards the Israelites. Bas Melech with his news. Imagine you take your daughter of the king to make her a harlot. To do that, you must hate who you're doing that to, right? Kedei lachti as Israel in order to make them sin. Because remember, before Bilam left yesterday, right? He gave advice. What was his advice? What does God hate? Promiscuity of the Jewish people. So that was the advice he gave. So here the Midianite king went and took his daughter, and used her for such a thing. That's how great the hatred was. Huh?
Last night.
Yeah. Reish Umais, the head of the people. He was one of the 5 kings of Midjan. head of the peoples doesn't mean that he ruled over nations other than Midian, meaning only over Midian. Ves Avi, Ves Rekam, Ves Tzur. These are the names of the, I guess, the 5 kings. But he was the most prominent of the 5 kings. Because he was the head of the peoples. Since he treated himself so debasedly, to cast his daughter, to make her into a harlot, he's mentioned third. Later on, we're going to see. It's going to be later on. Okay? Base of father's house. There were 5 fathers' houses in Midian, and others like 5 leaders, right? Ephah, Chanuch, Abidan, Ve'alda. And this one, Sur, he was a king for one of them, of these houses. Okay.
It says here also that he was the most important king, but he's listed third because he degraded himself by bad.
Yeah, we just said that. Yeah. That was a Rashi from before. Right? Okay. So we're finished with this. Now we're going into the next. By the way, interesting. And we'll just you'll get the context over here. It was Balak was the king of Moab, right? He hired Bilam, right? What did Midianites come in over here? Midianites have nothing to do with this. It was Moab. He was fearful, right? He was fearful. Midianites are way down here. Moab is way up here, right? So the Israelites had conquered further north.
Yeah.
Sichon of the king of Sichon of Moiri on top of Moab, and Bashan, the king of Og, the king of Bashan, further north, right? So they were coming down here, and now they're next to Moab to go into Eretz Yisrael. Midian's all the way down here. What Midian? What are you getting involved in? You have nothing even to fear. You have nothing to fear, but you got involved, right? Okay, got it?
Got it.
Okay, so now we'll go into the next. But Yedaber Hashem al Moshe Lemar, and Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, "Soras and Midian v'kisa ma'isam, distress the Midianites and smite them." Right?
Now they have good reason.
Well, they got into something they shouldn't have gotten into. They had no business.
Don't start something so good now.
Right? Right?
Huh? No.
Can you take the screen? Oh,
No, they just got involved. And
I'm not sure. Put it. Okay. So Rashi. Zachor, like to remember. He's just giving the grammar over here. Shamor, Lashon Hoive, meaning present tense. Aleim, Oyev, Oisam. As you must constantly show hostility towards them. Because they distressed lachem to you, with their plots, asher niklu, that they plotted lachem against you, alvar paor, in the matter of paor, right? The story that just happened, right? The story that just happened with the, alvar Cosby, in the matter of Cosby, bas Nasi Midian, who was the daughter of a chieftain of a leader of Midian, Achaisam Hamuka, who's the daughter who was slain by Yom HaMagef on the day of the plague, al Dvar Pa'or, on the matter of Pa'or. It's interesting, it says twice here on the matter of Pa'or, right? You see that in the verse?
Yeah.
Let's see Rashi in verse 18. So because they antagonized you, they started up with you, al Dvar Pa'or, in the matter of Pa'or. News because they cast their daughters to become harlots. In order to lead you astray for the idolatry called Pa'or. Right? But concerning Moav, God didn't say that you should destroy Moav. Why? Even though Moav was involved, they were involved, right? The advice came to the king from Bilam to the king of Moav, Balak, right? To go and do this, right? To go and take your daughters and so on. But God doesn't say that we should destroy Moab. Why? Mipnei Ruth, because of Ruth. Because she's destined to emerge from them, as it says in the Talmud. That's interesting. Elsewhere it says, and I don't know why Rashi doesn't say this exactly. Like first of all, what's he bring? I mean, the fact that he's Midian and Moab were both nations that were involved in the promiscuity, right, and the idolatry to get Jews involved in. So Moab isn't taken to task for this. But elsewhere it says because they were frightened that Israel was going to destroy them because they were right next to them. So the fact that they were frightened, they so to speak have a right to be frightened. Yeah. Midian was very far away; they had no reason to get involved in this, but their hatred was great, so therefore they did. But that's why God is now saying you got to destroy them, but not Moab. But okay.
Because out of Moab will come Ruth.
Because out of Moab will come Ruth. Yeah. Okay. Chapter 26, verse 1.
Forgive me, I'm just confused here because it says be constantly harassing the Midian. So doesn't that mean like you're not going to destroy the Midian? Because if you're constantly harassing them, you're not destroying them. Because if you destroy them, then you wouldn't be constantly harassing them.
Good question. Good question. I don't know. Good question. Because they're going to be defeated.
Yeah.
So I'm not clear why it would be. According to Chassidus, I understand it, but not according to the simple meaning. And I'm not going to go there because we're learning simple meaning. Maybe the Rebbe addresses it. Okay, good question. Yeah, very good. Okay. And it was after the plague. Hashem said to Moshe, Elazar ben Aaron HaKayin, and to Elazar the son of Aaron the Kayin, Lamor, Rashi, number 1, and it was after the plague. This can be compared to the shepherd. That the shepherd among whose herd of wolves that wolves entered. And they kill some of the sheep. And he counts them. To know how much is left. Right? Because you know what's going on now? It's going to be a count. Right? It's going to be a count of the Jewish people. So it says after the plague.
Yeah.
The plague already happened,
Yeah.
right? It stopped already. So why is it saying after the plague? So Rashi explains because this is after the plague. Now God is commanding. In the next verse will be the actual command, but he's connecting it to why is it saying after the plague? Because after the plague, wolves came in. Those were the women, right? And the promiscuity that brought down and ate up the Jewish people through that because they died, right? There were 156,000 that were judged and 24,000 that were killed in a plague. So now the count of the Jewish people is going to be different. So therefore, make account of the Jewish people. What does that mean? Davar acher, alternative explanation. When they departed from Egypt, they were given over to Moshe, when they were given to Moshe, they were given to him by a number, the exact number of how much he is put in charge with, right? Akshav Shikarav said he's coming close to dying. Well, and to return the flock. He has to return them with a number too. They were given to you as a flock and a number. You have to give them back as a flock and a number, right?
Yeah.
Well, it'll be given over to Joshua, right? Yeah. Su is uphold, which means to lift up. Su means to lift up, but in context it means census, take account. As Reish Kol Adas Ben Israel, the heads of all of the congregation of Ben Israel, Ben Esrim Shana V'Mayla, from 20 years and up, the Beis Abayisam to their father's house, Kol Yetzitzavah, all the Zugoa to war, Israel, amongst the Jewish people. Rashi, the Beis Abayisam, Al Shevet Av, Yachzu Aloya Achraim. The lineage has followed the father, not the mother, right? The lineage of which tribe you belong to follows the father, right? Right. If you're Jewish, it follows the mother, right? But which social standing, which means which tribe, follows the father. And Elazar the Kohen spoke with them in the plains of Moab by the Jordan at Jericho, saying, verse number 3.
You have to give a shekel?
Let's pay attention. They spoke with them. Also is concerning this matter, that God commanded to count them. In other words, he spoke about the issues that are involved in making the count. Lamor saying, Omer lehem, say to them, you need me to count it from 20 years and up. Kasher tziva. Okay. 4. Last pasuk. Then esim shana ma'ila kasher tziva Hashem, from 20 years and up, as Hashem is commanded. As Moshe, he commanded Moshe, Bnei Israel, Yitzim Me'eretz Yisrael, and Moshe and the children of Israel they're going out of Egypt. As Hashem commanded Moshe, and they're gone out of Egypt. That's funny. What's gone out of Egypt? Like, what's that got to do with anything? Kasher tziva, as Hashem has commanded, Shia minyanam, that count should be taken, from 20 years and above. Shenemar, as it says, Kol Iver Bikudim, everyone who passes by the count of 20 years and up.
It's not 20 to 60 like the other one.
It is 20 to 60.
Oh,
Because previously it said those who go out into the army. So it didn't give the cap, but those are from 20 to 60, the ones who go out to the army. In other words, just like Hayotzim, just like they took the count, right? The count was, as when they went out of Egypt, was from 20 to 60, right? Those who go on to the army. So it shall be now and for the future, it will always be this way.
okay.
Like,
They already
I mean, the verse is
established-
saying it. So what is this verse adding to it? I'm not clear. Like, what did this add? We just said in the verse number 3. I mean, sorry, in verse number 2. right? Verse number 2, it says, take a census of the heads of the all congregation of Israel from right from 20 and up.
Yeah.
Okay, so he said it. And now verse number 4, from 20 and up. That's what was commanded when they went. And there's just tying it in to this is the way it was originally. But we know that. Like, why does the verse have to repeat it? Yeah,
Well, it doesn't repeat that it's tied into what they did in Egypt, right? Because the earlier one just says.
that you're right. That's what this verse is saying.
Yeah.
But I mean, in fact, that's the fact that it is the same then. I
Yeah.
mean, why does the verse have to emphasize something that is it is the same
Yeah.
from 20 to 60s? What do you
Yeah. Like, there's no reason
so
to-
what are you tying it in when I mean the fact is that it is 20 to 60
Yeah.
just as it was then?
Yeah.
I think the way I'm understanding is that it's making it permanently that it'll always be that way. By tying it into that's
It's also reiterating that like when Moshe received them, he did the count, and then when he gave them back, he did the count.
yeah, I guess it ties in with that. And yeah, but okay, but first of all, Rashi's not saying that. It's true, it is tying in with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So like why does the verse need to so the way I'm understanding is that it's making it eternally as a result.
Okay.
Right? In other words, this will be forever more this way.
How you do the census.
Yeah. You would think otherwise. I don't know.
Well, you wouldn't know it was established just by the fact they did it once that way. Very good.
Well, you want to hear something?
Yeah. Better late than never.
Oh,
Have a wonderful day and a good week.
thank you. All right. Well, there's a lot here. Oh,
Oh, I have to go because she has her cocktail thing.
oh yeah.
So I thought it was 9 because I thought I was on weekday mentality.
Okay. Sei gesund.
No, I have to go. With the
Stuck along with them. Fabulous way. We look,
Okay. Lots here. Okay. Let's go to the beginning over here. Or Pinchus, beginning of the parsha. Right. Rashi speaks about, the fattening of the right, that the tribes were making fun of him. In other words, okay, so the Rebbe asks questions. So they're saying that because fatten the calves. If you want to show something negative, that he has negative qualities, Pinchus, right? Because you pick up from your ancestors, from your parents and grandparents, right? That's your genetic makeup. So you want to make about his genetic makeup. Well, Rashi already told us that Yisro, yeah, who was a leader in idolatry, he there wasn't an idolatry he didn't serve. So if you want to bring up about his negativity, bring up about his idolatry, right? You come from if someone wants to talk bad about someone, your grandfather was a horse thief, and say, well, your grandfather, he fattened the horses, he was a horse thief. That's much worse statement, right? So he was a huge idolater. Yes, he did tshuva, whatever, but in other words, to just show where you come from. If you want to put someone down. Furthermore, that's one question. Why do we have to bring his lineage to Aaron? Why not just to Elazar? Elazar was the Kohen Gadol at that time. Aaron had already passed away. So why do we need to bring it to Aaron? I gave some of these answers away already. What's Rashi's intent over here to say? Just like by the righteous, you give their lineage, and right. So likewise, the wicked, you bring out their negativity. So the explanation is this: the the tribes, their claim against Pinchus was that, and again, I kind of said it already, that he had a temperament that was kind of in his temperament, a natural characteristic based on his grandfather, Yisro, to be, bloodthirsty. And that's why he said that, he fattened the cows, the calves for idolatry, because that is a kind of like a demeaning and, negative, bloodthirsty kind of thing to do. It's kind of like a cruel thing to do. Just fatten them up so you can, what farmers do today, fatten them up for the slaughter, right? Right. Yeah. And this is where they made a mistake, because he was not bloodthirsty kind of person, and therefore just got up and killed Zimri because, that's his nature. Not at all. And that's why the Torah says, um, and that's why it says, Rashi says that he killed a leader amongst of the tribe of Israel, to bring out his, virtue, that he's a leader, he takes care of his people. That's what leaders do, right? And you are just doing it from your, volatile kind of nature that you like to see blood. And therefore, that's why we have to bring his ancestry not only to his father, Elazar, who was the high priest at the time, and therefore comes from a good lineage, but from Aaron. Because Aaron was the opposite. Aaron was someone who was very shalom, who's pursued peace, and brought peace between two parties of husband and wife that were not didn't have peace, or between friends. So this is who he is, and therefore the verse comes, and therefore as the verse says about Zimri, that he was the leader to the house of the father's house of Shimei, right? Just like Pinchus did not do this because of a negative temperament, because he was, bloodthirsty, but he did it from a kindness. On the opposite was Zimri, who, was not an expression of kindness, but it was a wildkeit. It was, a wild temperament that he had, right? Which comes from Shimei. As by Shimon, if you recall, it was Shimon and Levi that killed when Dinah was taken, right, and violated, so they killed the whole community, right? Well, Shimon is the one, and this is a leader from that tribe, right? Bloodthirsty, exactly. Yeah, that's the explanation. Okay. Okay. There's more, but don't have the time. They're a bit lengthy. We shall continue, God willing. All right, folks.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you. We'll see you shortly, Betania.